Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SocaMom Summit. This is now the second time we have done this, and the second time you have heard from my dear friend, Alison Hector. Hello, Alison. How are you doing?
I am fine. I am so happy to be here again. It is a joy and a privilege to be participating in the SocaMom Summit, and I am just delighted to be here. So
Well, I
here
am
we are.
always happy to see your face and hear your voice. And
Likewise.
when I hear your voice, I also hear you telling me, girl, what did you just eat? Girl, why do you really need white rice though? So that's what I hear in my mind. Okay. So today we are going to talk about how to level up your pantry and either avoid or deal with that quarantine 15.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
I am not certain that I have gained it, and I don't know because I don't have a scale.
Really?
But the one time I put on pants that did not have elastic, they were snug. So I don't know if it was 15,
All right.
but something
It might be a
happened.
quarantine.
It could be a quarantine. It could have happened. We can neither confirm nor deny. So
I love
today
it.
we are going to have a good time with Alison. Now, she normally does these really great Facebook Lives on her page and in her group, and we get all kinds of fantastic information. So today we're going to be focused on the pantry. So Alison is going to talk to you about how to deal, and she is going to be your voice of reason, like she has been mine for many years now. Okay. So, Allison, first of all, tell us what the quarantine 15 actually is, or the quarantine. What is it and where does it come from?
Well, one of the unfortunate side effects of us going through a pandemic is that people have kind of, because we're home, number one, and number two, we are anxious, we are in some cases depressed, sometimes overwhelmed, and definitely stressed. We have resorted to eating a little more, and not just a little more, but a little more stuff that probably we shouldn't be eating. And so those, the quote unquote quarantine 15 are 15 pounds that some people have added on, similar to a freshman 15. When you're in college, your first year in college, you just, those pounds pile on. And so, it's a joke, it's a meme and all of that, but it's serious because nobody really wants to be. There are very few people who are like, yeah, I really want to put on 15 pounds eating crap. And that's what's happening. So the idea is to get people to think about what they're really eating. And even before that, to think about what they're buying, because if it doesn't come in the house, you can't eat it. So I joke and say, Machine Montana has this song, and he says, "Good, what is it again? Good friends better than pocket money." And I said, some people when they were going into the grocery store, they said, "Bad food better than pocket money." So they just didn't care because people were catastrophizing. I get it because even though I try to eat healthy, I found myself buying healthy things, but too much and things that I know I would just glug 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 glug. And it's stress, it's overwhelmed, and it is just the sense of, oh Lord, the world is coming to an end, which is not true, but we were thinking that way, and it showed up in our buying habits. So our pantries were a little out of pocket. Can we just say that? We,
Yes.
an intervention in terms of what was showing up. And so it shows up on the body with a little bit of pudge that we now have to budge because we are 15 or 10 or 5 or whatever number of pounds over. But I like to tell people, and this, I say to people, what's your why? Why are you buying this stuff? What, if you have health goals, are your health goals? And why have you deviated? Yeah, we're under a pandemic. Yeah, we still have to buy food though, don't we? So why are we making choices that really aren't in our best interests? And when we begin to think about our why and we pedal back and say, okay, I really want to not get chronic diseases. I don't want to be a bad example to my kids in terms of my wellness choices. I've seen what my parents, other relatives have dealt with health wise. I don't want it. So everybody has a why. Somebody knows what his or her why is. And so if we think about the why before we buy stuff, we're in a better place. So that's the number one thing. You have to know your why. Number two, we really want to make sure that we make our kitchens as a whole, and pantry in particular, a safe zone where you have foods that help rather than harm. You know, people joke and say crap in, crap out. But in this case, if you're buying crap really and bringing it in the house, it's another crap in, because you are ending up full of crap because you're eating crap. And so I try to steer people away from those choices that will bring crap into your life. What does it mean? It means you have to shop right. You know, because we did we did grocery store tours. We knew that, okay, you shop the perimeter of your supermarket. And you know, we're one of the very few pluses of going through a pandemic and shopping is that no, people don't want to stay in a supermarket long. We're like, get that stuff going with a list, boom, 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 and out. So it's good in a way because it forces us to be very, very intentional about what we're buying,
Yes,
where we buy it, and getting out in a hurry. So we go in with a plan. We gonna buy these things because they're going to be beneficial to us, nutritious and delicious, as I like to say. And we shop the perimeter. And more important, we read labels. I don't know if you saw, I did a live on my Facebook and we dealt all with the nutrition labels and what to look for, what to not try to get too much of. And it is so crucial. I think if people really look at labels and understand sugar content, fat content, salt content in particular, and know what is an acceptable range for them, stick to it, you won't deal that quickly with the quarantine 15. And of course, buying whole foods as opposed to packaged foods, which is a little difficult sometimes because especially if you have a family, you're dealing with kids, they have their preferences, they may not be on board with you, or even a spouse or significant other may not be on board with you in terms of what you want to do health-wise. But we still have options. We always have good options before us. So that is the thing. We don't want to bring, I joke and say, don't bring the enemy in your house. Because you're stuck with it. You're gonna say, but I spent money for this. Why
yes.
throw it away? And it's like sometimes you should throw it away because you know it is going to help you get that quarantine 15 or keep the quarantine 15. But I like to say, okay, you brought it in, woman up, man up, and say, okay, this is not something I want to be eating. I gotta dump it.
And the crazy thing is, it's very true what you just said. Like, I spent my money on it. Now I feel like I have to eat it. But if you're in a restaurant and they bring you food that's not good, whether you paid for it or not, if you can't get your money back, you just don't eat that. Like
Precisely.
you say, I'm not going to eat that. So it's possible to say no. It's possible to say this thing isn't what I want. And so let me get rid of it. But a lot of times the money is just an excuse. You want that thing. It tastes good. And you want it. Like if something has gone bad in your house, you're not going to be like, well, I spent money on it. So I better eat this green meat. You're not going to eat that. You're going to put that $3.99 worth of bad meat right in the trash where it belongs.
Absolutely.
So but the list is another thing that was really important, especially if you're buying online. Seeing your choices in front of you before you push, submit, or pay now or buy now, it is a conviction. Like you feel that because you're looking, you see all these healthy choices, and then you can easily just say, let me just uncheck that box. Let me just uncheck that box. So I like what you were talking about as far as going in with a plan. So what kind of things can we do to deal with these cravings that we're having because of the stress? Or you just want what we call comfort food, something that makes you feel better. what are some alternatives that we can put into our pantry that kind of still satisfy that, but don't add to our Quarant 10 or our Quarant 15?
Absolutely. Like I said, there are always options. We are never out of options. The first thing I like to tell people is, when, well, not so much now because places are opening up and so on. But when coronavirus started, they would tell us, act like you already have the virus. In other words, you would stay at home, you wash your hands, you make sure you have your disinfectant wipes, all of that. And I tell people, act as if you already have certain types of food intolerances, because a lot of what we're bringing in as comfort food, probably you may not be seeing the symptoms very overtly, but you may be bringing in foods, let's say with gluten, soy, dairy to a certain degree, even things like citrus, corn, that are messing you up. So if you approach your buying as if you have certain types of food intolerances, in other words, you cut out foods with gluten. We as Caribbean people, we love our rice and peas and rice. We traditionally do it with white rice. And I tell people, I'm not here to discriminate, except when it comes to white rice, white flour, white sugar. Please, people, set them free. Set them free. Just go, caca, let them go. You can go back to you can go back to things like, in terms of rice, I do, for example, organic long grain brown rice. Am I holding this right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have things like quinoa, which now has become a staple for me. You can go to cashew, which is buckwheat. Let's say you really are a rice person. You can still do wild rice, you can do basmati rice, you can do jasmine rice, you can do black rice. You have quite a number of things that are there that aren't gonna give you the sorts of effects that gluten is giving people, but it will remind you still, and you can do recipes that remind you of those comfort foods that are rice based. Same thing with bread, same thing with flour. We can switch out the white flour for almond flour, coconut flour, brown rice flour, all of those options. You can also get into things like, did I mention millet? Millet is another grain that you can get into. But let's say we were supposed to look at things in terms of macronutrients, carbs, protein, fat. Here's what I would recommend to people. Obviously, like I said, you have to boot out certain things, the white stuff in particular. So, like I said, brown rice, quinoa, millet, all of those guys. Oats, huge thing. Get into oats. Some people do steel cut oats, others do simple rolled oats. You can use your oats for overnight oats, for example. I tell people all the time, you do recipes with overnight oats. It's a great way to have a good breakfast that is solid in both carbs and protein, and without messing you up in terms of blood sugar and all of that sort of stuff. Plus, you're getting good fiber. Another thing that I like to tell people is you make PFF your BFF. PFF, protein, fat, good fats, and fiber. I'm going to talk about that a little later. But in terms of carbs also, you want to look at things like potatoes. I'm a huge sweet potato fan. You will never find my pantry empty in terms of sweet potatoes. Squashes, you have all sorts of squashes. These are all sources of carbs. And go for it. The other thing is canned vegetables. You could be using them for side dishes, salads, making a soup. Canned tomatoes, for example, people like to make chili, who want to do their own pasta and pasta sauce and stuff like that. Adding a good taste to soups and all of that. So these all come under carbs. Protein, again, you have something like quinoa, which is a good replacement for your rice, for people who still want to stay with grains, which is most of us. You also can do nut butters. Instead of, going for jams, which tend to be a little on the high side in terms of sugars, you want to do, for example, almond butter, peanut butter, cashew butter. that you can spread on bread, or I have even used them in recipes for chicken with coconut milk and all of that sort of stuff. More Asian type recipes. And that's another thing, because Caribbean people as a whole, we have our favorites, and it's understandable. We love, as I said, the rice and peas, the usual kind of stuff. Sometimes in choosing things for the pantry, you have to begin to look outside the box of what has become the norm for us. And you can find a wide range of things that really will appeal to your palate once you begin to look outside. So nut butters, canned or dried beans, because you can drop those beans in a salad. I know I have used, for example, garbanzo beans in salads that really have been the bomb. You can use them in dips. You can use them in soups. You can use them in stews. But of course, the key here is as well to make sure you're not getting a lot of sodium, because canned stuff tends to have a little more sodium because that's how they preserve stuff. So you want to look at that as well. And also looking at things like BPA-free cans, because there's a whole issue with what bisphenol A does to the body, especially for women. And so that's a whole other show. But canned goods. Fats. You want to make sure that in your pantry you are including healthy fats. Fats have been demonized for a long time. And people were told, oh, you're eating fat and fat is making you fat. No. Sugar is what is making us fat. If we choose wisely in terms of the fats that we include in our diet and obviously put in our pantry, you're going to find that we get full quicker, and we're not relying on the heavy carbs that we used to get that sense of comfort and fullness from a meal. What am I talking about? You can have, for example, in terms of fats, coconut oil, which I use a lot. It is a saturated fat, and so you have to use it in moderation. But it has so many benefits, MCT oils, all of that. You have also things like ghee, which, most people from an Asian background know about, and some of us are now finding out about. It is clarified butter where the milk solids have been taken away, but it's like butter. It has a very high smoke point. So you can use it in cooking where it calls for an oil that can withstand a high heat, and you're getting a ton of benefits, and it is dairy free. And you don't have to keep it in the fridge. It is shelf stable, so you can keep it just in your cabinet or in your pantry. And then things like olives, we can add olives to salads. We have different meals that you can cook where you can just drop in olives, whether it's Kalamata olives or green olives. And then a ton of nuts and seeds. That's really great sources of fats that we can have in our pantry. I am an almond maniac, so I have almond tea. I'm a cashew maniac too, but I try to behave with that. And then canned fatty fish, salmon, tuna, sardines, mackerel, herring, all of those provide good, healthy fats, omega-3s, omega-6s that we need so much. Then you also want to remember your basics for baking, because, hey, we're not going to give up baking, are we? Again, almond flour, baking soda, baking powder, herbs, spices, condiments, your sea salt, your cumin, paprika, turmeric, dill, thyme, oregano. Spread out in terms of the choices. Get outside the box of, just the salt and the pepper and going about your business. Curry, all of those things. It's amazing how your meals will change, and you'll be full, because the idea is you want to be eating something that's healthy, hearty, fulfilling, yet not piling on your pounds. You deal with all of these things, you're going to be in good shape. And then broths and stocks, for your soups or whatever else you're doing. You can use veggie broth, you can use chicken and beef. And then one last thing, drinks, because, hey, we don't want to be bringing a whole bunch of soda in here. Get you some water, especially alkaline water. Get it going. And I know people are still going to want something sweet. So we can look for, this is Trader Joe's. I'm not, Trader Joe's queen, but yeah. Pink lemonade is like 40 calories per 8 ounce. There are options. I keep saying that. So that you can have something to, meet that sweet tooth, but not go overboard where it's going to show up in that, muffin top and all of that not so good stuff.
So for this, it's not just the weight. The weight is just the side effect of your
Makes
pantry
it
not being the
in
way
order.
that it should be. It's not in order. So
Mhm.
if you could pick 5 items that people should go out and get today, and if you can't go out, that you should go on Amazon or Instacart, that you should go and get today to level up your pantry, what are those 5 things?
Okay. First thing I would say, quinoa. Quinoa is considered a superfood. It gets protein in, it gets carbs in. That's from the grains section. In terms of canned goods, I would definitely recommend that people bring in garbanzo beans, chickpeas, as we said, chana, as the Guyanese say. They sell them in like 6 packs. You can buy them in 6 packs in like BJ's and places like that. I would say people are gonna have tea. Hopefully, I know a lot of people are coffee heads. You're gonna need honey. Let's get it raw. Let's get it local, ideally. I would also say that you want to bring in nuts. I showed you the almonds, but whatever is your favorite. Peanuts, I'm not that wild about because it tends to be a little more inflammatory. But if you can deal with walnuts, cashews, pistachios, almonds, those are good. I think that's 4. Number 5, good oils: coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, extra virgin, unrefined olive oil. So that we're covering all of the macronutrients, getting in good fats, getting in good protein, getting in good carbs, slow carbs ideally, as you get with grains. Those would be my 5. I think it's 5.
I
I said 5, right? I think
That's
so.
5, and I feel
Good.
so good right now because I
Yeah.
have all 3 oils. Amen. Um, I have the quinoa. What else? I think I
Nuts.
have I do have those, and I have my treat, which is dates. Sorry, but I just
Good.
mix them in.
No, that's fine.
But
That's fine. Dates are good.
it's better than Snickers, though, right? Because that's where I would have been.
Precisely. Absolutely.
That's who I
Absolutely. Because
was.
I mean, face it, we are gonna want something sweet. So we may as well meet that need for sweet with something that's gonna bring at least some nutrition into
Yes.
the game, as opposed to preservatives and empty calories, you know?
And I had my oatmeal this morning.
Yes,
I
I'm
felt
loving it.
very
I'm
good about that. So I am working on it so that when we do get out of here, I can close my pants in comfort and confidence. No
loving
one is going to get an eye put out with a flying button. We are going to be okay.
it.
We are going to be okay.
We will be
So,
okay. All we need are some little steps,
some
baby steps
small
every day.
changes. Some small
Uh,
changes. So, as we wrap this up, please tell us A, where you're from, and B, how we can find you and support what you're doing for all of us, for the community, what you're doing to keep us healthy.
Absolutely. I say I'm a proud Kitty Vision. I am from St. Kitts and Nevis. My dad was Nevision, my mom was Kittitian. And my roots, as I said, my neighbor's string berry in a St. Kitts. So that is home sweet home. I can be found mostly on Facebook. My personal page, Alison Hector, is where I normally do my Facebook lives. Every Monday night at 7:30, I am on, and we will talk about something health related. And we have a good time. We have a really good time. I also have a Facebook group, which is called Fab and Fit, Healthy and Happy Woman. And there we do, every week we have a different challenge. This week our challenge is to go outside and walk after dinner, but we do physical stuff. We did a month of crunches. Before that, we did a month of squats. We have a lot of fun in there. So I invite people to come in. That's where the action is. And I am on IG, even though I'm not as active in IG as I ought to be. But you can find me at Alison Hector over there. So those are my hotspots.
So I encourage everybody to jump in the group. There are not only food challenges, but plank challenges. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. early in the morning. I'm an early bird, so early in the morning you'll get a little poke from Allison so that you can start your day with either something funny or a little health tip or just a check-in to see how you're doing. So
Right.
I highly recommend the Facebook group. Allison also has some quarterly kind of challenges that she does. Can you tell us about those? I've participated in a couple of those, and they've been really, really helpful to kind of reset your mind when you get into a rut. Tell us about those.
I offer a detox program every quarter. And the idea is to just get people into, because sometimes the truth is a lot of people want to make changes, but they're not quite sure. And there's tons of information out there, but sometimes you need guidance and a really simple 5-day program where you cut out, like I said, the types of foods that could cause certain types of sensitivity to food, and intolerances. And it's not just food related. We also try to get lifestyle back in order, get the sleep together, look into the self-care, get the little exercise going, all of that. And so it's just a five-day program, but people see results in those 5 days that they can carry with them. And the recipes, the tips, and all of that is something that, is yours for life. And so I encourage people to come and participate. It may seem like, oh, I don't know if I could do a detox. Yeah, it's not that difficult. And we're not starving people. I tell people this isn't a cabbage soup diet thingy. We're going to eat real food. And we have good recipes. And the people always come out saying, wow, I really like those recipes. I can't believe that we were really detoxing. And I feel better having ate that well. And family members enjoy it. It's not just like, a wife or somebody does it and everybody else is like, well, you're on your own, They join in. So it's a lot of fun.
Now, I can attest to those recipes and the practical tips. There are worksheets that you do and assessments to see where you are. Because a lot of times we say, you know what, if you have the push to just do the detox, something inside of you says, listen, I don't feel the way that I think I should be feeling. I don't feel the way I did 10 years ago, let alone 10 months ago. I'm just not feeling well. So I know for me, I was in the middle of moving, and the last detox I did, I was in the middle of moving, and it's not really the detox the way that you think about it on Instagram. Like you said, we're not eating cabbage for 7 days. We're not doing all smoothies. Now, there are some great smoothie recipes.
Exactly.
But it's not a liquid diet. It's not grapefruit for 7 days. It's not a whole bunch of tea. There are really great things that you're doing with your mind, things you're doing with your body, and changing your habits. So, Allison, thank you so much for chatting with us today about what we can do to deal with the quarantine or the quarantine 15, and how we can stay healthy. We really appreciate it. Now, everybody, please go shopping and don't be afraid to throw away the garbage. That's why we call it garbage, because it's supposed to go in the trash. All right.
Boot the enemy.
So everybody, please enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you soon. Everybody, make sure you go to healthyhappywoman.com and check out Allison's Facebook group. Okay? Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.